Greetings, brothers and sisters. I'm not sure whether it'll be uploaded first, but I have been working on what ended up being a 5-hour journey series, Heartfulness YouTube channel video that I thought would take like 2 hours at most. So that's why I didn't put anything out yesterday. And I got a bunch of stuff to get to about, what's really going on here in terms of the economy. It's the economy. It's always been the economy. I've said that for a while. It was the economy about COVID. It's the economy about the Ukraine thing. The economy's effed. And so, but let's start off here and then got a couple of other things to do with Ukraine and Jojo Magoo, a gaffe. But Biden says U.S. will ban Russian oil imports in response to Putin's invasion of the Ukraine. We see that the gas prices are going up, which, the energy is going to be a thing. And this is a way of ruining the economy. And so there's already close to $6 gas prices, I think in California and some of these other places. And, places that have high gas tax. And, many places it's, around $4. And it's just going to keep on going up. And that drives up food prices and delivery prices and then just all these other things, right? And that's a way of factoring in inflation that has really happened already, but they're suppressing it, right? The dollar is worth probably 50% of what it was, or even less, in terms of like before COVID. And 2019, there was an economic collapse. I asked God about this in 2014. When would they no longer be able to hide it? And the overwhelming answer I got was 2019. And they hid that, right? They hid that economic collapse. And now they're trying all these other excuses, all these other distractions to reduce your lifestyle and get rid of, promises to pay Social Security and things like this. We'll get into this more later. How high will gas prices go? Experts weigh in. Gas Buddy analyst says national average headed for $4.50. Well, it's pretty much already there. So, that's old news, bro. And then Biden to issue executive order on cryptocurrency. Biden signing an order on cryptocurrency as its use explodes. Joe Biden will sign an executive order on government oversight of cryptocurrency that urges the Fed to look at whether the central bank should create its own digital currency. Well, that'll be really fun, right? And so he wants the Fed to have its own digital currency. But they're saying this is about Russia and being able to economically sanction Russia. They want to take away any chance of Russia using cryptocurrency and going backdoor on their banking restrictions. And this isn't good. And this isn't about, they wanted to do this for a while. It has nothing to do with Russia. It has nothing to do with the official story. They've been wanting to do this for a bit. How Ukraine conflict became a turning point for cryptocurrency. And this article was before before Biden put out his executive order. And what this is about is they're saying that, that Russia and their hackers were using cryptocurrency as a way to, do business and things. But it's really about the economy collapsing. Gigi Hadid ripped for comparing conflict in the Ukraine and Palestine. Well, the behavior is the same, right? It's a superior military force invading another country. But, this is allowed because it's Israel or it's America invading, Afghanistan or Libya and these things. The UN sanctioned those invasions. And so, who's this dude? But anyways, the behavior is the same, but they'll never acknowledge it. And then there's this. Hacker group Anonymous declares cyber war on Putin's Russia. Now, Anonymous has always been a joke. It's, Anonymous and the anarchists are government-run organizations, right? They're run by, the FBI or CIA or whatever it is, right? The intelligence community. But they seem like they are, there for the people. That's what the official story is. But Anonymous is a joke because they wouldn't be going after Russia. They'd be going after America and, all the UN and these other more powerful organizations and China and things like this. Not, they're just on the side of the mainstream media and the mainstream narrative here.
The notorious hacking group Anonymous has declared war on Russia and is targeting Russian
Who's this dude?
websites. The group that has also targeted U.S. sites in the past now says Putin's regime is fair game. Joining us now, NBC News correspondent Tom Costello. Tom, what more can you tell us?
What do you got, Tom?
Well, you know, for years, the U.S. has accused the Russian government of cyber attacks, sometimes working alongside Russian cyber criminals. But now Russia is in the crosshairs. And before you celebrate, think about how quickly this could snowball into an all-out global cyber war.
It could snowball. Don't celebrate yet.
This is a message to Vladimir Putin from Anonymous.
It's anonymous.
The group calls itself Anonymous.
They call themselves, they're Anons.
Affiliated hackers around the world now putting Russia in the crosshairs.
Members of Anonymous have declared cyber war against your aggressive regime.
They claim they've already targeted more than 1,500 Russian websites,
They mean business.
including Kremlin-controlled news agencies, the Ministry of Defense and Space Agency, Russian oil companies, internet providers, even TV channels.
Their call to fight in the cyberspace has resulted in a lot of websites not being available.
Okay, so Anonymous sucks. Okay, so then one of my viewers sent me this.
How do we get to the place where, Putin decides he's going to just invade Russia? Nothing like this has happened since World War II.
He's just going to invade Russia. I hope Putin doesn't invade Russia. That would just be wrong. I hope Putin doesn't invade himself, Jojo Magoo. Jojo, have you been invading yourself? And Kamala's really bad at her job.
First and foremost, want to express the thanks for the people of the United States, to you, Mr. President, on behalf of our President, Joe Biden, and to the people of Poland for what you are doing every day. It really represents the best of who we are.
She really sucks at public speaking.
We are here, and I am here in Poland today, as part of an enduring, long-standing friendship and commitment between the United States and Poland based on shared values and priorities. I am here.
She comes off as completely insincere, right? I mean, all politicians are insincere, and she's worse than most.
Standing here on the northern flank, on the eastern flank, talking about what we have in terms of the eastern flank and our NATO allies, and what is at stake at this very moment. What is at stake this very moment are some of the guiding principles around the NATO alliance, and in particular, the issue and the importance of defending sovereignty and territorial integrity, in this case of Ukraine.
It's Ukraine.
As President Duda
Ukraine
has described, we have been witnessing for weeks, and certainly just in the last 24 hours, atrocities of unimaginable proportion.
Okay, Kamala sucks at her job. Check. Let's move to this CNN report from 2 or 3 days ago.
Russian attacks on Ukraine's capital city, Kyiv, are expected to sharply intensify in the coming days. Heavy shelling reported on the outskirts of the city is sending families scrambling for cover. In the face of this fear, a moment of bravery and song from one little girl.
She is brave. I thought the guy was exaggerating, but this is some awesome bravery as this little girl sings, "Let it go. Let it go, CNN."
Пусть бы шум ничто, холод всегда мне был по душе, а я иду все выше, на ледяную власть.
How does one go about getting concert tickets to this shelter? Because there's some serious jams going on in this Ukrainian shelter.
Страха не вернувшись, меня уж не догнать. Пора узнать, что я могу, на помощь призову к себе во льдах навечно.
Fake.
Отпусти и забудь, прошло уже не вернуть. Отпусти и забудь. Новый день он кажет путь.
What a voice. What a face.
What a voice, what a face. The face and the voice and the face. Like, CNN sucks so bad.
Inside a shelter. Video of Amelia singing Let It Go from Frozen has already been viewed on Facebook more than 3 million times.
Well, why don't they all just escape to the meta universe on Facebook?
It's a beautiful moment. Heavy fighting continuing in southern Ukraine today. This morning, Mykolaiv hit by multiple rockets.
So this is a scene from the movie Wag the Dog, which is about a fake war they created to cover up a presidential scandal. And this girl, you know, this famous actress, she played Spider-Man's first girlfriend, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Kirsten Dunst is this girl that's supposed to be, I think, from Albania. I'm not sure what country it's from. And here's a green screen, but she's plays a hired actress in this movie. And there's a green screen.
Put the village behind her.
And they're putting the village behind her, so it looks like she's, you know, in some village, right?
Could she be running across a bridge? She's running across a burning bridge.
So Dustin Hoffman plays a movie producer, and they're just adding things to the green screen shot to manipulate the audience, right? They want her to be running across a burning bridge, and then they want to add a cat.
The kitten. Can we have a calico kitten, please?
A paw.
That's good. Small calico kitten, sir. Calico kitten, sir.
And she's holding a cat, right? They want a calico kitten.
Calico kitten. Okay.
There it is. We have a small calico kitten, sir.
They're getting a calico kitten for.
From the Albanian front, we've just received information that the young Albanian national fleeing in this video
So here they show it here.
is attempting to escape terrorist reprisals in her
So the cat.
village.
You know, they've made this in America, and they're pretending it's in Albania. There's the calico kitten, right? And there she is, right? And so what they try to do is human interest stories. Like they do this at the Olympics, right? They try to, you know, bring in some, you know, this guy's got cancer, he's recovering from cancer, or his mom, or he's doing this for his dad, you know, whatever it is, right? They come in up with this ways to get you invested in, especially you see at the Olympics because it's every 4 years. So they create these backstories to the war. And they're going in hard on the Ukraine in ways they never covered Libya, or they never covered Iraq or Afghanistan or any of these other illegal wars, or all the way back to Vietnam. They don't go in and interview the victims of American aggression, right? They don't cover the, you know, the kind of stuff they're covering now. It's constant, you know, all these poor people fleeing, and these human interest story, and this little girl, she's singing, you know, it all looks staged and fake, and they're trying to pull on your emotions, right? Your emotional responses, and it's really manipulative. Like it's just, and it's so fake. It's so disingenuous. It looks like it's something from Wag the Dog, where they're, you know, obviously trying to trick people into going along with something that they can control, and they're manipulating this for economic reasons. Let's get into that here. I mean, the economy is a big part of this. And so I've covered this for years, and so many other people have, that the economic system we have, the usury system, the debt-based promise to pay, you know, it is based in debt and promises. The government promises to make good on this money with no financial backing. It's not backed by gold or some sort of commodity. It's backed by a promise. And then the whole derivatives markets and all these other levels of debt. Debt has become wealth. And we know what happens. Like, this is a usury economy that's been around for thousands of years. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's a pyramid scheme. It's based in, you know, it's a confidence game. You know, it's a con. And so it's unsustainable. like debt doesn't have value. It doesn't have value in reality. Debt is debt, right? A debt is something you owe. You don't get to leverage debt and monetize debt and have it last. So the first part about this is the debt-based economic system is unsustainable, and they need big reaction. Any con game, at the end of the con game, they go big into theatrics to try to distract you from the collapsing system. In this case, they don't want to blame the system itself and tell you, yeah, the system is completely bankrupt and, it's insolvent and it's never, it's a confidence game. They got to have your confidence. Perception is what keeps the system going. So they can't blame it on the system. So they can blame it on COVID. They can blame it on the Russians and Putin. And they can find ways to blame all these economic issues. They can raise the gas prices to make it seem like that's responsible for the inflation. And so they're finding ways to hide that the economy has collapsed. But another way this kind of economy collapses is, you see this with successful people and wealthy people. Their kids, you have immigrants come over to America, and the immigrants will work, in a ways that kids who are growing up in America would never work, right? Immigrants are coming off of, poverty or war-torn country, and they have a lot of fight and a lot of, they're in a fight or flight mode, and they're willing to do things they've suffered in their country of origin, or people who are poor, and they'll come out and work harder than people who grow up in wealth. And so then there's the morality aspect and the softness and weakness of the generation of royalty, right? Royalty always loses its wealth, right? Intergenerational wealth always disappears because the kids of the, let's say there's some great man or great woman, I guess you could, either way, some great, leaders and economic people who rise up and make, billions of dollars, even trillions of dollars. Their kids are going to lose that money. Their kids are going to suck. Their kids aren't going to be hungry or, they're going to be detached from real life. They're going to be entitled. And when you have a whole generation of kids like that, which you see in America, like my generation was entitled, and they weren't, we didn't grow up with computers and cell phones. And so you think about all the entitlements these kids have. And so when that happens, there isn't a good work ethic and there isn't good morality, and, there's a weakness of character, and people are disconnected from God and the family, and they don't appreciate what they have in terms of lifestyle, and our lifestyle disconnects people from God and the family. So that's another reason it has to collapse, right? The system is, now the generation of youth sucks, and they're not the kind of generation that can sustain or even create an economy like we now have. And so that's another reason it has to collapse, right? And so you have all these other, side effects of this debt-based economic system and wealth and artificial wealth. And, people are getting stupider with their iPhones. They're hemorrhaging vocabulary words, all these things. And so it ends up having to collapse. And like I said, they can't just be honest with you and say, yeah, this is a debt-based economic system, and this promise that we gave you when your ancestors left the farm, that the economic system would be strong and always be there for you. Yeah, that was not that was a bogus promise. That was a con, and you've been conned, and now the economic system is collapsing, and you're all going to suffer. Like, they can't say that. So this is what they're doing here. Like, it's just a simple distraction. We've seen it before. We'll see it again. But they're trying to, introduce a new lifestyle to you, and they're using COVID, they're using war, and they have all these excuses why they can't sustain your lifestyle, but it's all BS, right? It's all fake. And, that's why I say connect to God, because the system you're 100% dependent on isn't there for you. And internalized connection to God, the entitlement system I talk about all the time, like, for me, is the only answer, because, you can't depend on your leaders, your leadership, the system, and, people who are liars, and, even your neighbors at this point. And so, there's only, the last resort is to connect to God, which is, I guess, a good thing, because people are going to have to do it just for their own survival. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.